So anyway, thank you very much for coming, and I wanted to share a little bit about my African safari company. I actually own a safari company called Destined to Travel, and we are a small, private, intimate company. It's just myself and my associate driver, who's also my lead driver, and then I have 2 other drivers that drive for me as well. So we own our own vehicles, and we do all of our safaris. They're custom, they're personalized, and it's only my group, so it's only the group that I book. I don't have other companies booking me, it's just my company. I do accompany most of the groups on safari. If they leave from California, I do have people from Colorado, on the East Coast, the Midwest, Arizona also flying in, so sometimes they'll fly from California as well. So I do try to go with one of the groups, but it's not always possible, so I will meet a group on location if that's not possible for me to fly with them. So this last May, June, I had 3 groups. So I flew with the first group, and then I met the other 2 groups. So the first group went home, another group came in, they left, and then another group came in. So I was there for about 2 months, almost 2 months on that trip. So I try to make it work, and the people who book that are not so familiar with international travel is who I try to fly with, but that's not always possible. I do have some repeat guests that seem to go with me all the time, and so sometimes I can work it out where they will actually be the tour escort leading the group over there. So especially one person in Denver, she travels with me. She doesn't make a difference, and she goes early, and so she travels, and I make her in charge. So that's who we are. We've been in business going on 10 years this year. I've actually been taking groups since 2006, but my business didn't start in 2008. And just in brief, how I got started in the business, because people say, are you African? No, I was not born in Africa. I was born in Chicago. It's quite a far cry from Africa. And I moved to California when I was a teenager. So basically I'm from California. But I worked about 37 and 38 years with the County of Los Angeles as HR director for the Child Support Services Department. So I was engrossed in that job. I loved the job. It was quite challenging, but it was quite stressful as well. I had about 2,500 employees under me, and then supervisors as well. So, and I probably would have continued working were it not for the things that happened in my life. I lost my mom. I lost my brothers shortly after that, 2 of them, back to back. They were younger than me. I was in a traffic collision where I was broadsided by a drunk driver. And so I was off work for about a year. And then as I recovered from that, I lost a girlfriend with whom I was going to open up an agency. Oh, geez. So we were going to start our own Africa business. She already had a cruise agency, but we were going to collaborate together. And I was holding a presentation just like the one we're holding today, and she passed away in my house. Oh my gosh. So this kind of put me on a track. I was very depressed. And so in order to get myself out of that, I had to take a trip that would just clear my mind. And that trip happened to be to Africa, Tanzania. I didn't pick Africa. I only picked it because it was the farthest away from home. And I figured in my mind, which makes no sense today, the farther I go, the less I'm going to think. Now, I don't know how, when you're going through things, you don't know how you think, but that's the way I thought. And so I took that trip to Africa. I came back home. That trip actually saved my life because the people in Africa saw something in me that I did not see. I mean, I was really kind of like walking dead. I just was going through the motions. And they saw something in me, and they're very positive people. And so when I came back home, I realized what a great time I had and didn't even think about all the things that had gone on in my life. And so what I did was I retired. I figured 37 and a half years, why not, you know? So, and I was the next person in age after my brothers. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know how long I have. So I decided to retire, and I took 2 years and traveled around all of the safari destinations in Africa.
Wow.
To figure out what I wanted to do. I was always in travel part-time. I always had 2 jobs. So travel was my part-time job when I worked for the county. And so I knew I wanted to do something in travel. I just didn't know what. But that trip to Tanzania gave me the impetus to move forward, gave me the motivation to actually decide what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. Because I knew that what happened to me when I traveled on that trip, it just couldn't just be me that was affected like that. As it turns out, it's everybody who goes, because they come back to me and they parrot what I said the very first trip, that they can't explain it, you know, that you leave a piece of Africa with you, that it's just, the people are just so familiar, so welcoming. And so I knew that I made the right choice when I chose Tanzania. Of all of those destinations, I chose Tanzania. And today, I have to tell you that the person that I partnered with, he's a great family man, he's a Tanzanian, and he's still with me today. So, you know, Africa is a patriarchal society. Now, ask me how I thought I could go work in that kind of situation. I don't know. But I'm glad I didn't know, because I think it could have changed a lot of things. I would have thought too much. It would have been just too overwhelming to think about. And so I'm glad that I didn't know all of that beforehand. And I found out as I went along and made whatever changes I needed to make. So that's how I got started in business. So again, myself, my driver, my main driver, and my 2 other drivers. So these are the ones in the green are the 2 that I started with, and the other 2 are the 2 that I added, because sometimes this, like this last trip, we had 4 vehicles, so we needed 4 drivers. I also have a Make a Difference safari, where this is a children's home, and we actually have adopted this particular children's home as part of our safari. It's called Make a Difference Safari. It is run by Pete O'Neill. Pete O'Neill is a former Black Panther. He was the leader of the Black Panthers in Kansas City.
Wow.
He's been in Tanzania for 42 years, and he started the school. And I read about him on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. And I told my driver, we got to find him. We have to see what he's doing. Found him, went up there and talked to him. I said, I want to bring my groups back here. I want them to meet you. I want them to meet the children. 24 disadvantaged youngsters. So I think he probably thought, this lady, who is she? And why is she coming here? And why is she telling me this? Because typically, you know, when somebody tells you something, they don't always follow through. And so, and I was leaving. I'd gotten lost on my way up there, and I was on my way to the airport. So I spent this long with him. And what happened was, the trip that I was going on 2 months after I met him, I called all of my guests, and I said, look, we have a school we're going to go to, and I would love for you if you can bring anything you want to bring for the kids. I had 9 people on that 11 people on that trip, and 11 suitcases filled with things.
Wow.
So it was fantastic. Shortly after that, one of the guests decided he wanted to do something for the school. He just wasn't sure what. But when he came back home, light bulb, he raised enough money to install solar in the school.
Wow. That's great.
So now they have solar, and so they don't have to worry about the power going out. So that was another thing that we did. I have also guests who are supporting the education for all of the 4 who are in, they call it level 4. I have 4 guests who are supporting the education, so they don't have to worry about their schooling.
That's great.
So we're trying right now to make sure that all of the kids get their education. And we figured out we have a number that we have to meet in order to make that happen. And this last trip, we had somebody on the trip who actually can help us do a nonprofit. So he's working on that for us and with us so that we can get people to contribute and it can be a write-off. So
Yeah.
that's what we're working on. And Pete is a fantastic person. I mean, a storyteller, his story, any story. He is a great, great person. And everybody just falls in love with him. So it's by no mistake that he came into my life and I came into his. You know, that article that I saw in the paper really changed the focus of our safaris. And I had just told my driver not too long before that, I said, you know, we need to have something that's a little bit more personal, something that's going to take our safari different than everybody else's, take it kind of like over the top. Didn't know what that was going to be, but this is it now. This is it. And everybody says it's the highlight of the trip. Meeting him and the Make a Difference, of course, they stay at the school for about 4 days and they might only do a 2-night safari. So that's what we do with the Make a Difference. And we take all ethnicities. You know, we don't discriminate. We don't discriminate with age. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm too old to go on safari. But you know what? The oldest person that I took was 91 years old.
Wow. Really?
91 years old. Yep. And she had a great time. And she is still traveling today.
Wow.
Yes. The youngest I took was 12. 12, yes. And she's a young lady now. And she actually called me the other day. She said she really wants to go back. She went with her father the first time. She lives in Peru.
Oh, wow.
And her father lives in Los Angeles. And so she flew to Los Angeles. They went on safari. Had a fantastic time. She's now moving back to Los Angeles. Now she's in college. So, so it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride up to this point, you know, and I hope it continues. But this has actually been a wonderful add-on to my safaris. This was my group in May. So May and June. This was all of the groups except for the last one. So this is the Make a Difference group and my other group. I had 18 people on one trip and another 8 on the second trip. So that's the Make a Difference actually merged with our group for 2 nights, for their 2-night safari, and then they went home. So this is the whole group. So we operate 4- and 5-star safaris. 4-star is usually the May trip, although, you know, when people walk into some of the properties, they will think it's a 5-star. It's hard to put stars on properties in Africa because a 3-star might look like a 5-star. You know, 5-star might look like a 10-star. So I don't like to really differentiate like that, but that's the only way that I could let people know that there's a difference between the safaris, the seasons, and the kinds of properties that are booked for the different seasons. So we operate both. I don't usually do 3-star safaris, and I certainly don't do anything below that. In Africa, you don't want to go below that. You know, these are really nice properties, 4-star. Even the 3-star properties are nice because on the 4-star, I do mix and match so that the price works. So it's really good. 2 seasons in Africa. They don't generally have spring, summer, winter, fall. They have the long rains and the short rains. The long rains are May when I was there. April and May, we had no rain, but it was the rainy season. And then in November is the short rains. So the 2 safaris that I have right now that are open because I'm sold out for all of 2018 and most of 2019 except for 2 safaris would be May and November. So May being the least expensive and November being, it's a little bit more, but on this particular one, it's quite a bit more because it's different properties. So like anything else, you know, you book a Hilton or a Hyatt, or you book a, you know, Motor Inn or something like that, and a, you know, a Hyatt. So they're all different. So in November, the properties are a little bit more high end. But those are the seasons that generally you book with. Every month is a different season. So every season is a different price. So it's never the same. My prices typically are about $2,500 to $3,500 less than the bigger companies because I am, you know, just a small company. So For the guests, it's great because my name is not Abercrombie and Kent. Otherwise I could add $4,000 or $5,000. But it's not about the money. It's really about the experience. I want to get as many people as I can to really have the experience because I believe that it's something that most people would like, even when they say that they don't like it. And I have had people who go on safari who say, I don't like animals, I don't like this, I don't like that. But they go for some reason because either their friend is going, one lady went because her mother was going, she didn't want her mother to be alone, and she was the one that was the most emotional on the trip. God, I didn't know it was going to be like this, Kay. Why didn't you tell me? Well, I can't tell her, But she went, and she went twice.
Wow.
And she did not want to go the first time.
Mm.
So I do have a lot of people who say that for whatever the reason is, they do not want to go. So now, when I tell people we stay in a tent, this is what they think of, right? They think you're going to be in a tent, you're going to be outside, you have to go outside to go to the bathroom or take a shower or whatever you do. So, but we do stay in a tent. I have to tell you, we do stay in a tent because years ago, when I said that I will never take my groups to stay in a tent, and I stayed in a tent, I said, okay, that's it. All my safaris now have to incorporate a tent. They have to. Different kind of tents for different kind of property, for different seasons, different, there's basic tents, there's mid tents, and there's high-end tents, So for May, it's a moderate tent. It's very basic. These are the tents. So they're just basically all in a row. They all zip up. They all have bathrooms. They all have showers. Tents are pretty basic, but the view, this is the view sitting on the patio. The best view in this area. This is the river, Tarangire River. Many times you can see elephants down there. Many times you could just see elephants all over here.
Oh, wow.
So best view, basic tent, but best view. And that's why I booked that property. And it works for the budget as well. So really nice. This is actually the patio. So you can just sit there and watch. Sometimes, if you're fortunate, some people might call it unfortunate, but I call it fortunate for an elephant to walk up there while you're having lunch or you're sitting there, and you're just basically there. They're just doing their thing, and you're sitting there. They don't cross over here, but there's a way for them to get up on the property if they wanted to get up on the property. They don't bother you, you don't bother them. When they're there, you're not really sitting out here. If they come up on the property, you are moving inside.
Yeah.
So, but if they were out in the plains, then you don't have to move. You just be right there.
Would this be considered a May accommodation?
This is May.
Okay.
This is May. Yeah. Sometimes it's even November, but almost all the time it's May. Because right now, the only properties in this area are three. One is very far away, one is very high end, and one they're building now. So I'm waiting to see how that is, but it's going to be high end. So this actually works for the budget for me. This is a tented camp.
Wow.
So all of the canvas closes. There's a shower here. Everything's enclosed at night. There's a bathroom. You can't see it, but it's over here. So everything's enclosed. So it's beautiful. There's nobody that can tell me that they wouldn't want to stay here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is a tented camp. Again, a little bit lower end than the one I just showed you, but still really nice. A little higher than the first one, but very, very nice. That's the bed, and behind it is your bathroom and shower. This one has an indoor and outdoor shower.
So are there a lot of mosquitoes?
I don't find people telling me that there's a lot of mosquitoes. Now, if you get bitten, if you're one of those people that get bitten, they'll find you.
Okay.
But different seasons, different. And different properties also.
Okay.
If we're in an area where it's a little bit higher up, it's too cold for mosquitoes at night.
And do you typically have to get like some special shots before you go there?
I always recommend yellow fever.
I was gonna say
And
yellow fever,
hepatitis.
definitely.
Although yellow fever is not required. It is not required in Tanzania. Tetanus, yellow fever, and hepatitis are the ones that I say if you're going to get shots, those would be the three to get. So again, another tented camp. Another one. This is actually kind of a bungalow where you walk through a door, but the rest of it is tented.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, quite interesting. Tented camp. Now this is where in May I do the one tented camp, which is the first one, and then when we go to the Serengeti, we usually stay because this actually works good for the budget. This is more of a hotel, but not really. You know, it's just a bigger property. Has 66 or 76 rooms. I've never actually seen that many people there because they're all out on safari. They're not there. Maybe at dinner time. That's pretty much. But it's a very nice property. So I usually book that for our Serengeti. This is the pool there. This is another prop. This is the same pool. I'm sorry. This is a different view. This is another tented camp.
Wow.
Brand new. I have my group staying there in this next trip in September. This is actually a 2-bedroom tented camp. Now, if you think, you know, I never thought that they could do what they could do with tented camps, but they can do anything. It could be like a palace.
Yeah, really? That's amazing.
Yes, it's a 2-bedroom. So there's a bedroom here and a bedroom on the other side, living room in the center. There's a spa, a jacuzzi on the deck. So you can sit there and watch the animals.
Wow.
I mean, it's beautiful. You could have dinner out there. Because they will do anything you want to in Africa. If you want to have dinner out there, they will bring the candlelight. They will put your rose petals in the jacuzzi. They will do it. You name it, they'll do it.
Wow.
This is another pool now. This is the property where I usually end up for all my safaris. No matter how it is. This is a 5-star property, beautiful property. It's run by a local Tanzanian, and I love to support the local Tanzanians. You know, all the properties are not necessarily owned by Tanzanians, but I love to support them when they are. And this is one of them. This is actually another property that we stay at. You notice all of them have pools.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so don't ever think that you can go to Africa and leave your swimming suit
Yeah,
home. So where do we visit? In Tanzania, we visit all of the major parks. We visit Tarangire National Park, known for its elephants. Elephants are very endangered. One is killed every 15 minutes.
That's horrible.
But when you go to Tarangire National Park, you forget about that because you see so many of them. It's actually fantastic. It's great to see them, but you know that they're endangered. We go to Maasai village, the local tribe. We visit them. They live like they did 100 years ago, but by choice. So they want to retain their culture, and they do. And so we go and visit one of their tribes' village. We go to the crater, the Ngorongoro crater, which is a volcano that erupted more than 4 million years ago. So it just kind of fell into itself, and then the sides became the surrounding edge of that crater. And when it collapsed, there were animals that were there.
Oh, wow.
Well, today there's 30,000 animals there. They don't have to leave because they've got water, they've got food, they've got everything they need.
Wow.
So we do a visit to the crater. We actually descend from way up here to way down here. It's actually quite fascinating because you're always going to see animals there. We go to Manyara National Park, Serengeti National Park. If we're doing a longer safari than May, maybe if we're doing, May is 10 days, but if you're doing a longer one than that, we usually go to Olduvai Gorges, which is where the Leakeys found the first human remains.
Yeah.
And Shifting Sands is another area that we go to, which is a huge sand dune in the shape of a crescent. And it moves every year so much. They mark it how it moves, and it moves in the shape of a crescent. It always retains that shape. It's fascinating. It's a geologic wonder, and I still haven't figured it out. I mean, only people who know geology can figure it out, but it's great. And you can actually climb the dunes as well. Yeah. And then we go to, we do shopping excursions. So no matter how many times people tell me, well, we're not going to Africa to shop, so it doesn't matter. We don't need to shop.
Oh, there's so much cool stuff.
But the minute you mention shopping, yes, we want to go. And they do. And we make sure that you go every place that there is to buy. We don't stop at every place there is, but we stop at a very nice place, which is an art gallery, and it sells souvenirs as well. So you can buy your Tanzanite. You know? Tanzania is the only place where you can buy where Tanzanite is mined. It is not. It's available everywhere else, but it's more expensive everywhere else than in Tanzania. So a lot of people will buy the Tanzanite in Tanzania. So it's like $650 a carat versus about $800 to $1,000 here. So we make sure that everybody goes there. So these are the tribes, and this is the way they dress. Not just for you. This is the way they dress. And there's lots of cultural villages. I usually choose one that I know is very reputable and very honest, and they're smaller, so I usually trade with them. And they sell things as well, so I want to make sure that I'm trading with, you know, someone who's actually an authentic village. Some of them are more commercial than others, but we do go. This is our fleet. So these are the 3 vehicles, and you see the top opens up, so you can stand up.
Oh, cool.
In the back, you have 6 seats. They're all window seats, and there's the driver, and then the person, if there's a person next to him, there's a seat there as well. So it's a total of 8 with the driver. So if I have more than that on Safari, if I have more than 7, I have to go to another vehicle. So on this trip, we had 4 vehicles. One is actually gone because he took the Make a Difference group, so we have 3 left. So these are the vehicles, and they're all pretty much alike. So, do you know what the most asked question is when you're thinking of Africa? Do you know?
How much?
That is one, but that's not the first
Well,
one.
you eaten by a lion. That's probably it.
Oh, that's one. No. Is it safe? Now, is it safe meaning, is it safe from unrest, protests, political, kidnapping, all of those things? The answer is I've been traveling there for 15 years and I'm still here. I haven't had anybody, taken or abducted. I haven't had anybody eaten by a lion or attacked. They have all come back with all of their limbs, So you decide, is it safe? I would say yes. And I think all my guests would agree. Now, of course, if you saw something like that, you wouldn't necessarily think you were safe, right? But, you're not on their food chain. They don't care about you. This cheetah was injured, and so he's not very friendly. Of course, none of them are, but when sometimes you see on YouTube, you see cheetahs that jump on top of the vehicle, because that is their vantage point, and everybody thinks it's so cute. And I have pictures, but I'm not showing them to you. Because when somebody sees cheetahs on top of the vehicle, it's like, oh my God, They do jump up on the vehicle. They're very fast, but now the government has actually implemented a policy where any driver who allows a cheetah to jump on top, they're going to fine them. Because cheetahs really are only jumping up there just to see. They're not jumping up there for you to pet them or anything like that. They're still wild animals. They'll jump in just to see what's going on, and it could scare anybody. One wrong move, that could be it. So we don't encourage that at all.
So when you say allows a cheetah to jump on, what will the driver do to allow?
He will start the motor to keep the cheetah from jumping, or he will pull forwards to keep the cheetah from jumping. Because you can usually tell when the cheetah is like right there by the vehicle. You could tell any minute he's going to be in that car. And the drivers know that. Now, a lot of times the cheetahs can come out of nowhere. They can come from behind the car or something, but most of the drivers, they know what to do. If you have a wildlife expert as a driver, and I do, they know what to do. If you just have a driver, that driver might be more interested in getting a tip for that cheetah jumping on top of the vehicle than trying to keep the cheetah out of the vehicle. So it's really a matter of education. You have to have wildlife guides who understand and read the animals. You can't just have a driver who can just drive up to an elephant and say, "Oh, look, that elephant." You know, you want to know about the body language of that animal. You want to know, you know, and the driver will tell you the gestation period, what they do, where they live, just a number of different things. And so they can read the animals. And that's very important, very important. So from the animals, now this huge elephant, you see how she's backing up? As soon as that elephant was just walking towards the car, just like you're walking into a room, And because she made a noise, you know, she screamed, actually. The elephant stopped right there. Now, the elephant would not have stopped had she not screamed. He would have just gone straight past the vehicle. Well, he did eventually, but, you know, so it's very important when you see an animal, you've got to respect the fact that we are in their land, their property. This is their territory. So if you don't bother them, they will just mosey on past, you know. So anyway, everybody was fine, no problems. Everybody had their cameras out, you know, so they were taking the picture as the elephant was walking towards them. So, you see, this is a troop of baboons.
Oh, wow.
That have occupied the road. And of course, they have the right of way. And we're going to give it to them. So, we are just kind of creeping through. You know, we're taking pictures, but we're slowly going through the maze of baboons. You know, they're not going to jump in the car as long as you're in there. The minute you get out, they'll be all in the car. If you have the top open and the windows open and the doors, all of that. But
So that top does collapse?
yeah, the top goes down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we're not on safari, the top is down. When we're driving through the city, the top is down. So, of course, this is them. They don't look scared at all, right? No, first thing people do is take out their cameras. You know what that is, right? Sounds like somebody's snoring. Well, that's a lion. That is how lions sound. They don't roar. This is how they call. So you will hear this at nighttime when you're safely tucked away in your tent or your room.
And they don't go through those walls?
No. You're not on their food chain. They're not looking for you. They don't come into the tent. They can roam through the camp. This one actually was roaming through the camp, but you're in your room. You're in your room. What goes on outside of your room, you don't care about as long as you're not out there. So they roamed through, and then the next morning we got up and because we heard them and we knew that they came through camp, we actually went to find them. So, and the drivers kind of have an idea where they hang out. You know, that's not always the case, but we do look and they know where to take us. So now, let's get the important part. The cost. Okay, so I already told you that the costs that I have are probably about $5,000, about $2,500 to $3,500 less than most companies. I usually have just a sheet here or brochure. I don't have it today, but I can show you actually where, you know, what kind of trips they have. Most of them are for less than 9 nights. They advertise a 10-night trip. It's really 7 nights because they do the 2 nights travel on the beginning and on the end, so that's how they advertise it. And most of those trips start at somewhere around $9,000. So my average is $5,500.
Wow. Actually,
For May, is $53.95 double and $58 something for single. So, and that's pretty much everything. Doesn't include your drinks, but it does include your gratuities. And it doesn't include air as well, because I can't ever include air. So you're looking at $5,500, about $5,300, and it's for an all-inclusive experience. Compare that to Hawaii. I mean, I know people in California go to Hawaii. I know what people, I used to book Hawaii for 20 years, you know. I know what people pay to go to Hawaii. And if you stay in a nice place, $350 a night, $450 a night, 10 nights, $4,500. You haven't eaten, you haven't rented a car, no transportation, no excursions. So you add all that on top of that. So now you've spent more than $5,500. So a safari is actually affordable. If you travel at all, you'll know what those costs are. If you're looking for a budget trip, I'm not the right person. I don't do budget trips. I want to make sure that my guests are taken care of. I want to make sure you don't have to be staying in the fanciest place, but I want to make sure that you are in a place where I know, where I can actually vouch for the place. I'm not saying nothing ever happens, but I can say that I know most of the owners of all of the properties that I book, and I feel comfortable, and I feel like I know that my guests are going to be taken care of. And that is important to me. In Africa, that is very important. So the November trip,
Okay, how many days was that one for?
that's for 10 days, 9 nights, 10 days, which is really good time period for safari. That's for May. For November, the trip is actually $7,800. It is higher end properties. It's in a different area. It's a different season. So no way to keep those prices the same. Because if I kept the prices the same, you'd be staying at lower end properties for that season. So May is a little bit higher, but still definitely worth it. Some of those properties that you saw, the tent camps, are some of the properties that I use for them. So those are the 2 trips that I'm actually marketing. As I mentioned, one elephant is killed every 15 minutes, and over 1,250 rhinos were killed in 2017 alone. So Africa landscape is changing. And personally, I would say a lot of conservationists say between 5 and 8 years. I'm not so sure, because now Dubai has a property in Tanzania. They've discovered uranium in an area of Tanzania. So what that means is that all these companies are going to be bidding for drilling rights, hunting concessions. Dubai is already trying to buy a hunting concession in Tanzania. I don't know what's going to happen. They've already started a highway. They've got bids out for a highway through the Serengeti. Between poaching, between all of these things, over the next 5 years, the landscape will be changing. Will I still be doing safaris? Maybe not. It's kind of like every year I have to evaluate, because it has to be worth it for me to take a group for them to actually see what there is to see, what you see today. And if you're going to have to go on a highway, you know, this highway is intersecting where the wildebeest migration goes. Or when they're going to start it and how long it's going to take, I don't know. We've been fighting it for years, and we thought it was off the table. New president came, it's back on. So this is important. The fierce urgency of now is really to see Africa the way it is now. Not the way it is next year or the year after that. I mean, you know, obviously people have to make their own decision about when they would want to do something like this. But I can just tell you the reality is that the landscape is changing quite a bit. This is the tribes that we visit. This is a dance that they do, a celebratory dance for weddings and all of their celebrations. And this is not something that they just do for you. I mean, it's a welcome dance for you, but this is something that they do. It's actually a jumping contest where you know, you've seen them on television where they jump straight up. Food is great. For me, personally, I'm a very picky eater. Best food I've ever tasted is in Africa.
What is that?
This is
Interesting.
These are cucumbers and avocado.
Oh wow!
With some sesame seeds on them.
Yeah, yummy.
Yeah, it's very good. All their food is good. They grow a lot of their own veggies, you know. And please, if your doctor tells you don't eat it unless it's peeled, boiled, or something else, don't pay any attention to that, because you'll miss really the real flavor of the food if you do that. It's very good. Haven't had anybody get sick. Now, obviously, when you travel, a lot of people's digestive system changes, and you have, you know, some issues. But I have never had anybody get sick where they just couldn't go on safari, except for me. I actually got food poisoning the last time I was there. Not from Tanzania, though, from the airplane.
Oh, wow.
So we eat outside. These are some food dishes because everybody wants to know what we eat. The desserts. And of course, if you're celebrating, this is the place. They love to celebrate.
Yeah.
I celebrated my birthday here. This last time we celebrated, another one of my guests had her 70th birthday. We had a 35-year anniversary and my driver's birthday. So, so we celebrated for the whole 10 days. So I say to you, if this is something you want to do, to take it off of your bucket list and put it on the very top of your live list. Because living to see Africa as it is today is going to be quite different than living for Africa to see in 5 years from now. So we're here waiting for you. This is my driver, and he is available, ready, willing, and able to take you whenever I have a group. I called him a year in advance. I said, okay, here's the group, here's the time, save it. So he's available. So, you know, I have some other slides from the trip, but this is basically the end of the presentation, so you can see, you know, hopefully I've answered some of your questions about what it is, what it costs, what you eat, is it safe, and some of the things that you see, you can expect, and then what we do as a private company that helps to support Tanzania and its local people. So that's what we do. I'll leave this on a little bit, but you can. I'll just go through just real quick. These are some of the sites. This is in the crater. This is in the crater where I told you that there's animals galore.
Now the school, is that part of the May?
You always visit the school, but only the Make a Difference stays at the school.
Okay.
And the Make a Difference really is for those people who really, it's usually a younger group, but not always, because the accommodations are just basic barrack style where he lives. It's like a compound. Okay? So people have to know that. So the people that go are, so far, they've been like under 35. Okay. I have had people that are older that go that really love to be with kids and really like that experience. And so that it's really a different kind of experience. But every group goes to meet the children and people. And just in case you don't know it, I don't have my shirt on that says enjoy the journey, but my logo is a giraffe and underneath it says enjoy the journey. A group of giraffe are known as a journey.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's
So,
a great play on
Double meaning.
Oh.
This is one of the properties that I stay at. They have a sanctuary. And the donkey was impregnated by a zebra.
I was going to say, it was half and half.
So there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Cute beyond
yeah,
words.
no kidding. Pettable? The rescue ones pettable?
No. These are not, it's not rescue. They're still out in the wild. It's a sanctuary. They live on the property. It's a wall that just divides them, but they don't have any predators. It's just some water birds and donkeys and zebras and a couple of water buffalo. Yeah.
Cute.
Lots of monkeys. You know, that's one of my favorites, the blue balls. You know, I have to say it, you know. I have to say it because you see them all over and everybody's like, what are those things? Those turquoise things. I have to say it. It's funny, but it's quite interesting when you see them. And of course,
wow.
You see lots of lions in trees.
Wow.
They seem to be in trees more. When I first took a picture of lions on the trees, which is this picture right here, that was my first trip.
Oh, wow.
Okay, there's 5 lions.
Gee,
Again, you can only see 3. But there's actually the mothers in the canopy.
The branches a whole
Yep. So, and then there's one on the other side with his leg. So he's looking backwards and the leg is hanging
Wow.
over. So you didn't see this too much back in 2006 when I took this picture. Now, everywhere you go, there's lions on trees. And
what do you attribute that to?
Probably most of the times I've seen the grass is wet or it's cooler up in the tree. They have a better vantage point, but
I mean, then versus now.
I don't know because nobody had ever seen this when I took this picture.
Wow.
So you just don't see it. It might be happening, but you just don't see it. But now when I see it, this is what I see. So I can't really explain. I can tell you for this time of the year, the grasses were wet, and so they probably just wanted to be up cooler. And you see a lot of water birds. You see a lot of this. This is the baobab tree. This is where that park is that I told you where the elephants are known to habitate. These are large trees. They can be up to 1,000 years old.
Wow.
And in this whole park, you see lots and lots of them. And elephants just love to be up. This is not a domesticated cat. This is called a caracal, and they're very rare. You usually see them at nighttime. I was very pleasantly surprised to see one during the daytime, just right out in the open.
What kind of camera do you use, Kat?
I use it's a Nikon. It's an 83 times zoom. I no longer take my changeable lens camera. It's just too much. I leave it in Africa. My driver uses it. I don't even use it anymore. So I just take one that takes really nice pictures. I mean, I have 80,000 pictures. I don't really need to have a big lens anymore and all of that. So, but a good camera, a good 30 times to 60 times zoom is a good camera. And I usually give recommendations on what kind of camera to buy.
Because he's a Nikon. He's a Nikon.
Oh, yeah.
You seem like you're either Canon or
Nikon. Yeah. So they came out with an 83 times zoom, single lens. You don't have to change it. And it takes perfect pictures. All of these were taken with that camera.
Wow.
And these are all my pictures, so they're not other people's pictures.
And did I see that some other people were using some of your pictures? I think I saw you.
Oh yeah, you know what happened is some of the companies, they want to take everybody else's picture instead of using their own picture.
Wow.
Even though they put my name down as credit, they were advertising their Safari company.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So
you don't copyright your stuff?
You can't copyright it in Africa.
Oh.
Nothing. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Lots of my friends have their pictures stolen. It's mostly by companies. It's not by people. It's mostly by companies.
Wow.
So, a pride of probably 9 lions. Here they are.
Wow.
And yes, we saw a rhino.
Oh my.
I mean, seeing a rhino is so exciting because they are practically extinct now.
Wow.
And if you see a rhino, a black rhino, they're usually protected with a 24-armed guard
Wow.
to keep poachers away.
That's good.
But they can't protect every single one, and poachers know it. But we saw one, and it crossed right in front of us, which was the really good thing.
God, that thing is massive.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
Oh,
Yes. He just finished with his mud bath. Yeah. Oh, I take this because this guy just loved to exercise. He was looking for a gym everywhere we went. And so he made his own gym everywhere we went. Actually, I don't think this is a bit. Oh yeah, this is, yeah. You can see here. Yeah. Oh, that was the first one. I took 2 at once, a longer one. But yeah, so he did his push-ups. I said, go back and do that again. Let me take a picture. I said, just do 1. And after 12, I said, okay, that's enough.
That's funny.
Lots of flamingo. Yeah. Impalas. This is a harem. There's actually another set of impala on the other side. They belong to one man.
Wow.
It's a busy guy.
That's a busy guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
how cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
What a great shot.
That was the first sighting I saw when I got off the plane. I took a small bush plane to see some other properties after my safaris were over. And that's what I saw. Wow. That was so cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just never know what you're going to see.
Oh, wow.
No telephone wires, no tall buildings, just you,
No city lights.
God,
Yeah.
beauty of the African sunset. Wow, it's absolutely gorgeous. And this is actually entering into the Serengeti. Lions relax like they do. Like your cats. And the birds are just beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Just beautiful. If you don't like birds, you can't help but marvel at the colors of the birds when you get there. Even if you don't like birds. See that frog?
Wow.
And this is just another beautiful
Oh,
bird.
cute.
But you see the wildflowers? Just
Yeah, that's so pretty.
And these are the young boys who are circumcised. So once they're circumcised, they become a man and they have to leave the village. And they have to be on their own for a period of, I think, about 3 months. And they have to paint their faces white like that. And they're not allowed to come back into the village until years ago, it was after they slayed a lion. But that's no longer practiced. So now they're just away from home. And they can't go back to the village for a time period. They have to give up all their belongings. It's the Maasai custom and culture. Today, though, most of them are on the side of the road, even though they're circumcised. They're money pictures, right? You know, they're commercial, but there's still a purpose behind the painting on their face. And of course, things happen on safari. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you take care of the car, things happen on safari. But the good thing is all my drivers are mechanics. So whether it's a flat tire or whether the car actually stalls, they have fixed it, you know, and it's happened. It's happened. It can't help but happen, you know. If you see the terrain, you know, the bumpiness of the terrain, and, you know, we always carry, of course, spare tires, and Paul carries extra, what do they call them? Not chains, but springs that go into the car. So, because he's broken them like 3 times, and so he carries extra ones. So the first time it happened, he took a rope and a piece of canvas. And I said, what are you going to do with that? He said, I'm going to fix the car. Oh, okay. And he fixed the car until we could get it to a mechanic shop, right?
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing, but, you know, it's always a nice time to get out. If we're in a place where we can get out of the car, and we were here, we were able to just get out, and we were out there for about an hour. Nobody wanted to get back in the car because the migration was there just all over. So it's just beautiful.
What is the weather like this in May?
It's rainy season. The weather typically is like California. Very cool in the morning, very cool at night, nice during the day. But during May, it does rain. Whether it rains or not, it's another story because it did not rain but one day when we were there this past May. Yeah. So we were having a picnic because after they fixed the car, we decided just to have lunch there. And we did, because we carry our lunches. That's the one thing in Africa, because things are so far apart, you're not passing a store to stop by and buy lunch. So you're either carry your lunch or you go hungry. So we carry our lunch, which I hate box lunches, but I have to deal with it, you know. So that's what we did. We carry our box lunches with us, and we had lunch out in the bush. And on this particular trip, we actually took and made a side trip so we could see the cheetahs, because cheetahs are only in certain areas. They like the open plains where they can run uninterrupted. And where we were going, the grasses were were very high from the rain, so it would be easy to pass a cheetah and we wouldn't see it. And of course, we see a leopard, again, an elusive animal, but we have been pretty fortunate in seeing them on all our safaris. that's it. I mean, I got tons of pictures, but you know, that could take forever. So
Yeah, that's
those are
beautiful.
just a few of the favorites, or not even favorites, just the pictures that I took on the last trip. So I know you have questions. Who wants to go?
I'd love to go.
Yeah.
You said you
You want to go?
you said you had a trip next year and a trip the year after, or what?
I have 2 trips next year.
Two
Well,
trips next year.
actually, I have 5 trips next year, but the 2 that I have availability is May and November. So May is the one for 53, and November is the one for 78. 2 different seasons, totally different properties on both of those trips. So I'm looking. I have 4 people booked. I'm always looking for 6 people to fill the vehicle or more. So I'm looking for additional people to fill the May trip and additional people to fill the November trip as well. And I have a few booked on each one of those. So I'm just looking to fill both of those trips. All my other safaris for 2019 are sold out. So I have April that's sold out. I have the end of May sold out. I have September sold out, and I have two safaris in September, both sold out.
Wow.
So I'm just looking for May, the 1st through the 10th, and November somewhere around the 12th. And I have folders out. I'll give it to you. So that's what I'm looking for you or for anybody that you know that might be interested. We're taking deposits now, obviously, and it's very affordable. It's like 5 payments or something like that of $850. I usually have a payment plan, or somebody could just pay it off. You know, it's kind of up to you, but if you're not going to pay it off, then I do have a payment plan. So it's every 2 months. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be every month unless that's what you want it to be. You can do that as well. What airline? We use KLM, and the airfare. I just bought my airfare yesterday for April because I'm flying with the group in April next year. So I would be meeting this group for my May. I would be meeting them there on safari. It was $1,100. That's less than the cost of going to Europe. So, and it's nonstop from Los Angeles to Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam to Tanzania. It's just right, a really quick connection.
Wow.
And so you get to Tanzania at night, at 8 o'clock at night, which is nice because it's your first night, but the next morning we're off. We're not off on safari. We're off to visit the school because that's in the city, and we have to do that from the city. And we're off to go to our shopping excursion. So that's what we do on the first day, so that nobody's pushed and rushed to be going on safari, because safari is in another area and it's quite distant, so it's not close. And then the next day we head out on safari where that park was, where the elephants are, and that was our first stop. And we're usually at most of the properties for 2 nights on the 9-night safari. 2 nights, everything is 2 nights. So, and that's to allow you to see the different areas. So that's what's happening with 2019. I'm actually sold out for one of them for 2020 as well.
Wow.
So
That's great.
So that means right now it looks like I'm going to be doing this at least through 2020.
That's good.
So hopefully nothing changes with the landscape in that time period. But yeah, I do think it's an affordable trip. If I were to show you some of the other trips, in fact, one of the ladies that went with me on this last trip, she has a travel agent. She went to her travel agent and she said she wanted to go to Africa, and she asked her travel agent to give her some ideas. And she pulled out the same thing I would do if I were not traveling in Africa and I didn't know Africa. I would pull out a brochure. I would say, oh, this trip looks good for you because maybe I haven't been there, but you're selling from a brochure. And she pulled out an A&K brochure. It's a $17,000 trip.
Oh my gosh.
Because typically, an agent is going to upsell, so she's going to start high and then she's going to come down. So the $17,000 But A and K, no matter what you do, the least price is going to be $10,000. No matter whether it's 7 nights or 9 nights or 10 nights. So she said, okay, maybe we won't be going to Africa. And then she met me at a meeting, and she asked me what I did, and I told her. She said, you do? She said, oh. She didn't tell me it was on her bucket list. You know, she just said, wow, that sounds interesting. So I said, what do you think about Africa? And then she said, well, I'd love to go, but I don't think my husband will go. And so I kept in contact with her, and I invited her to a presentation, and it happened to be on their anniversary. And she said they were going out of town and taking their dogs. And I said, well, you can bring your dogs over here. You know, put the dogs out in the backyard, did the presentation, and they went. And the nice thing about that was that she said, you know, I had a trip to the Galapagos, which I thought was my #1 trip, she said, but it is no comparison with the African safari.
Wow.
So she said, now this is tops on my list. They want to take their children back now. Their children are grown, so they're working on dates.
Nice.
Yeah. So it is a different kind of trip. It's not your European trip. There's no other place in the world where you can go on an organized safari like this. There are safaris in India, but they're not like this. There's safaris in Sri Lanka, they're not like this. There's safari in Disney World, but it's not like this. There's one at Safari Park, and it's not like this. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I really appreciate you taking your time tonight to come and learn a little bit more about an African safari. And I hope I've answered your questions about all of the things that you were probably curious about. You know, where you stay, what you eat, is it safe? Hope those are answered for you. And I hope you'll give some serious consideration and share it with your friends. And don't forget, you can contact me anytime, safarikafrica@gmail.com. You know where I am. Call me 951-898-6094, and that's on the folders that I gave you as well. So just feel free to contact me if you have any more questions. I'm happy to answer those for you as well. And thank you for coming, and I hope to see you on safari soon.